When your roots are aligned with your passion, the sky is the limit. Life is filled with endless dualism. Change versus stability, your brain versus your heart. It seems like everywhere you look in life, there is some sort of dualism to challenge you to balance in between them. And these two elements can work one against the other, but they can also feed one another. And I believe that when your roots are aligned with your passion, this can lead not to frustration or misconceptions, as sometimes this happens with dualism in life, but to innovation and empowerment. As for my roots, my father, Yossi Sassi, is the fourth out of 10 brothers and sisters. My roots come from Iraq, from North Africa, and also from Thessaloniki, Greece. My grandfather, Yossi Sassi, which I'm his namesaker, may his soul rest in peace, he had two elements that challenged him throughout all his life. They were his big loves, and he had to juggle between both of them. One was his passion for the religion and for God, essentially, because he was a rabbi and he was a man of spirit. And the second was his love, his endless love for music. He played the oud, and he also researched and learned and was also teaching the Arabic musical scales, the maqamat and the Oriental scales. And this was the heritage that he left to his children, the music from Turkey, Greece, Egypt, etc. I have clear visions of my father when I was 2 years old or so, standing in the living room in his underwear, singing in Arabic, singing in Italian, in a lot of multicultural plethora that I was exposed to during my upbringing. And, this is a picture of me, by the way. Around that age, probably looking at my father wearing his underwear, but just feeling happy and feeling privileged to be exposed to this kind of rich multicultural experience. And truly, as I grew up, I found out that I love other types of music as well. So in my early teenage years, I was exposed to rock and roll and heavy metal, you know, stuff like... So this was a different kind of music. But the more interesting thing that happened to me was around close to age 14, when I first touched the guitar. Two things happened. One was that I knew I was meant for that. I knew I met my match. This is what I wanted to do in life, to play the guitar. As simple and as innocent as that, just to play the guitar. And the other was the sounds that came out of my hands, my fingers, were sounds of... They were kind of Middle Eastern. They had all kinds of Arabic musical scales in them. So essentially my upbringing, my roots, merged into the music that I loved, that was my passion. This is why I believe that who we are is essentially a delicate balance between where we come from, along with the way that our heart beats. And this has been proven to me throughout all my years. And also in my activities, I toured the world, had the chance to play music that bridged people and united people together through music, and brought fans from Iran, Iraq, Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, from India to South America. I've been able to make people happy throughout the power of music. Enemies were dancing together. And throughout this musical journey of mine, I encountered a sincere, genuine problem, actually a challenge. I play 19 different guitar types, string instruments. Bouzouki, saz, oud, chumbush, ukulele, charango. From Armenia to Bolivia, if you have strings, I will find you. And I will use you in ways I hope you'd like. But this has challenges of its own, right? You know, to hold 40 plus instruments, all the types, variations of those instruments. I have a room at my place, a room at my parents' place. People come to our living room, they sit on a guitar accidentally. But the thing that I do in my live shows is I focus and play with essentially 2, 3, 4 types of guitars. Sometimes I have to move in between them in the same song even. One of them is the electric guitar, as you've seen. Okay, and the other is the bouzouki, you know, this Greek mandolin. And the third was the acoustic guitar, or the nylon string guitar. So I looked for ways that I can combine them, all of them, in one instrument. And then I thought, what will I do? You know, I started to find all kinds of solutions that were all cumbersome and really not efficient. So I thought like a child. I said, what would my children do? When they want something, for example, one of them wants a cookie. They don't think twice or think how it cannot be done. They just do it. They never stop. They keep going. They'll take a table, they'll put a chair, they'll put another chair on top of it, and eventually they'll reach the cookie. Because almost everything they do for the first time. And almost everything they do, they want to do out of passion. Because they really need it. They have a genuine need to get to those cookies. And for me, this guitar was my big cookie. So I went to a guitar maker with a lot of experience, and I told him, I want to build this guitar. Take me to the moon. And he said, and he came highly recommended, because his vast experience, he said it cannot be done. Actually, he said, they will compete on shared resources in such way that the instrument will never sound good, and it will be for sure cumbersome and have tilt issues, etc. So as he was speaking, I was thinking to myself, I have cars at home. I came to a car manufacturer, where actually I want to go to the moon. I need a rocket engineer. So I looked for my rocket engineer. And when I thought about it, I said, okay, piano is a string instrument, essentially. So I went to a guy that had experience in piano building. He was actually, his name, Benjamin Miller, guitar maker. Today he builds guitars. Also at the time, he was building some guitars, but most of his experience to date back then was in renovating pianos. So I figured, this guy knows about acoustics, this guy knows about musical instruments, about wood choices, etc., carpenting. So I told him, let's go to the moon, if you will. And we came out to this quest, to this journey, and we made all the designs, and for more than a dozen meetings and almost a process that spanned almost half a year, we eventually came up with a prototype. And this failed. It didn't work. It didn't work. And I was sitting there holding this corpse of a vision. And you know what was the saddest thing about it? That each and every word the guitar maker said happened. It was cumbersome. It had tilt issues. It didn't sound good. Everything, word by word. All his words were right in stone. But a few minutes after that, when I came back to my senses, I picked up that prototype and I said, okay, let's see here. This choice of woods here was probably wrong. And the angle of the necks, the ergonomics here, the weight of the tuning forks. So we made a lot of modifications, maybe close to 100 of them. And this is how this guitar was brought into this world, out of holding your failure in your hands. Because sometimes when people tell you you're going to fail and you don't go to the quest, that's one thing. When you go to the quest and you fail miserably, shamefully, that's a whole different thing. I want to show you a quick tour of the guitar. You already heard some of the sounds that it produces. So as you've seen, this guitar is actually an embodiment of my musical journey. It's the East and the West. It's acoustic and electric. It's the roots combined with the passion of modern music and contemporary music. So I can play anything from, stuff that is a bit more contemporary. And I can play, all kinds of rock and roll stuff. I can also, the guitar is a fascinating instrument because you can play it so many. In so many variations and with so many accessories and peripherals. And essentially, of course, there is the bouzouki. Something happened one day when I accidentally plugged the wrong cable to the wrong jack here in the guitar. And I heard something like that. This is how a guitar sounds through a bouzouki, a sound that was never there before in the world. It wasn't possible acoustically to produce because these two souls, these two different cultures, now share one body as we all are. We are all connected. We know that. We feel that. So now one can resonate through the other and produce sounds that were not possible before. I want to ask you a question. Are there butterflies in the desert? Well, I introduced this question to a lot of people, actually hundreds of people, throughout on the internet, and I asked this to them. And I will tell you the statistics. Most of you think there are no butterflies in the desert. Some of you think maybe, why not? And some yes, some say, a minority says, yes, why not? Why wouldn't there be? So I studied it and I researched it a bit. And not only do butterflies exist in deserts, there are butterflies actually in each and every desert on our planet. And furthermore, butterflies are one of the more diverse creatures that there are in deserts all around the planet. And you'd think, what would a beautiful, colorful creature representing freedom will do in a wasteland, in a place that has maybe no life in it or has very little life in it? And this is exactly the dualism we're facing each and every day. These are the misconceptions that we are living about ourselves, about everything that we do in life. We think we cannot be butterflies in the desert, but there are actually. Let me take you to another desert, the moon. In the moon, did you know that when you leave your footsteps, they are most likely to last there forever? Because essentially there is no wind on the moon, so there's nothing to wipe it off the surface. Bearing a meteoric collision, of course, but still, that would probably stay. But I think we don't have to go to the moon in order for our footsteps to resonate here and to the next generations, because I believe our foundations, our roots, resonate in everything we do. I know my families, my father and my grandfathers do in everything that I do. And I'm hoping that my foundations, when the day comes, will resonate too through everything that my daughters, my children will do. So I believe that foundations aligned with your passion can essentially lead to innovation and empowerment. So I encourage you to go out there and be the butterfly you can be in your own desert. Thank you.